Okay, everyone, this is Quanisha Smith, the founder and chief activator of the Black Women Rise movement. And we're here on Tuesday doing our weekly Black Women CEO Talk, Chat and Chew. I just rebooted my internet because the last video was getting spotty. So hopefully this is a better connection as we get going here. And let me make sure that I can connect to check it from my house, from my computer. So I'll just give everyone a second to jump onto this video here so that we can get started with our chat and chew. Good thing I wasn't too far in the last time, right? Okay, new video feed. All right, so waiting for some ladies to join before we get started and me talking about the topic. So I'm trying this again with, I rebooted my phone, my internet, so we should be good to go this time. So I'm waiting for some ladies to jump in to tell me how the video quality is going, and we can definitely get started. Let's see here. Alrighty, I'll just tell them to refresh your screen to see the new video because I don't see any ladies on this one yet. So for all those who are watching the recording later, thank you for your patience. You know, technology is great. It allows us to connect globally, but sometimes it's very temperamental and it has its own thing going on. And so this must be it's a message that you really need to hear since, excuse me, we're having technical difficulties today. And let me drink some water so I'm hydrated here. Okay, good. Hey, Veronica, I'm glad. Hopefully this video, the connection is better. Veronica joined us, so I'm glad the ladies are joining and hopefully are joining the new video here where we have a better connection, because last time it was spotty, Ingrid told me. Okay, I'll say, look at the screen. Alrighty. Yay, it's good, you can see me, yay, because it was blacking out, so I rebooted everything, the internet, I restarted my phone. You know, I was having some troubles earlier today and I wasn't sure with just my internet, and I wasn't sure what was happening. So, well, I'm going to get started because it is 12:15, so we're a little bit behind. It's good to see you too, Veronica. Yay, Fatima. Welcome, 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 ladies. And so today, I just want to give, I guess maybe not a disclaimer, I don't know what to call it, or a preface. I am a very spiritual person and non-denominational, although I guess I consider myself a Christian. So the angle that I'm coming from today is going to be from a spiritual angle on how to profit plan for the rest of your 2016 and to create a faith by action blueprint. And the reason why I'm taking that angle is because that's my journey, that's my walk, and I can really only talk about it from that perspective. And so just quickly, what I was sharing is that many of us start the year, so you know, in December of the previous year or in January 2016, you had your big goals, you know, from various inspirations, you know, your personal and your business goals. And then we get to like June and July and everything starts to flatten out. You might have even flatlined before then. And we don't really tend to our goals, or we just totally give up. We say, okay, well, it didn't happen yet, I'm going to give up. But you have 6 more months to achieve your goal. And hopefully the process that I walk you through today will not only help you get reinvigorated, but also get you going so that you maintain the momentum, because it's going to come from a deep-seated place. And so I was sharing in the last video, just quickly, my story. So once again, hi everyone. You should all know me because this is the Black Woman CEO Circle. But for those who are coming on later, my name is Quanisha Smith. I'm the founder and chief activator of the Black Women Rise movement. And I've been in business full time for a whole year. Hallelujah. Yay. And this has been quite the faith walk. And the reason why I even went out and started my business and around the topic of helping Black women to rise was because I felt in my heart that it was something I was called to do. I really believe our purpose in life is to manifest the glory of God within us. And so I use God as higher power, as source, as universe. You might have other names for it. You may call it your intuition, which I do believe that our intuition is our connection to our higher self speaking to us. So we all might be coming from different perspectives, but I hope you can think that we're using one language when I say God, right? Just as this universal term. And so God was putting in my heart to work with Black women, to work with Black women leaders, and then to work with Black women entrepreneurs, so that we could overcome a lot of the societal, familial, and historical things that impact who we are, how we show up in the world. There's lots of statistics on the blackwomenrise.com under the movement tab that shows that even though we are highly credentialed and highly qualified, many of us are being overlooked for promotions. We're underrepresented in political and corporate leadership. In traditional workplaces, we tend to be at the bottom, like the social rung and the support and administrative positions. And when we do make it to leadership, we continue to have issues. And that's what I was finding, you can say qualitatively, as I became a leader in my own experience, and those are the women around me. We were like, something's weird here. But the important thing that kept coming up, that I decided to launch this business around coaching and training Black women, is that I kept meeting Black women, some my very close friends, some who just opened up to me, and that's how I also knew there was these divine connections being made, where they told me that they didn't feel fulfilled. They didn't feel fulfilled. Who can relate to that? That you were in, and you might be in business now, you might be starting your business, but there was probably something in your little inkling where you probably were thinking, I'm meant for more than this. I don't quite feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose. Has anyone felt that way or is feeling that way? You can just type yes into the chat. That you feel like you're meant for so much more, and that maybe you're at the point, or have been at the point, where you felt like, I am not fulfilling my purpose. Someone said absolutely yes, right? And I kept meeting Black women at the Black women at the Black women around who was struggling with that. And so to be an example, but also to follow my own walk, like I said, God was putting on my heart to do this. And I had this vision at the beginning of 2015. I was in my last semester of graduate school. And I had this vision that I was going to do this work full time. That I was going to build a business supporting Black women and helping them to rise. And I was going to be able to do that full time by the time I graduated in May 2015. Now the how, I had no idea how. But each time I thought about it, I just took one next step. I invested in a coaching certification program, right? I changed my master's thesis so that I could study Black womanhood, our battle to exist. Like I said, all the different things that influence who we are and who we become, right? I took business courses, and then opportunities started to come to me that helped me eventually to be able to have a baseline through doing some consulting and contracting work to be able to graduate, cover my living expenses so that I could actually be a full-time entrepreneur. So each way along the way, it was actually a faith walk. And I say faith by action because I just didn't sit there and say, oh, I believe one day God's going to make that happen for me. No, I said, okay, if this is what I'm being called to do, I'm going to have faith and I'm going to take action so that this shows up. So that's what we're going to talk about today, how to create your own faith by action plan, right? Faith is a hope in the unseen, but we almost have to prove our faith, right? Because if you believe that's going to happen, then you're going to take actions to get there, right? Can I get an amen, anybody? Right? If you believe that something is going to manifest in your life, aren't you going to take the actions to get there? And I'm not saying you know the whole staircase. I'm just talking about taking a step each time, and that's what we're going to talk about. Someone said yes, action. So it's almost like you're proving your faith. She said, amen, thank you. You're trusting in God, right, by getting in action. So that's what we're going to talk about. So before we get started, thank you for the ladies who joined. I hope some of the other ones are not having technical issues, but if you're watching this video later, really dedicate the time to it. So I'm guessing this might take like 30 minutes, and I know we're kind of into our chatting to you a little later, so I'll try to be definitely mindful of the time. But I want you to take a second and close your eyes. Just close your eyes. Because I want you to get in touch with that deepest part of you, your inner self, your higher self, your God self. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths together before we get started with creating our Faith by Action blueprint. Okay? So if you're, well, I'm assuming you're not driving because I see people commenting. So if you can close your eyes. And let's take a deep breath in and out as you allow yourself to get centered in your space. And a deep breath in and out as you clear your mind so that you can hear yourself. And a deep breath in and out as you open yourself to all the possibilities. So how was that, ladies? And so hopefully, because you knew we were creating your Faith by Action blueprint, you have a pen and paper with you. And if you don't, I just want you to take the time to ask yourself now that you're centered. And I want you to say, however you refer to your higher power, I say God. Ask God, where do you want me to be in the next 6 months? So you're asking God, where do you want me to be in the next 6 months? And I want you to write down, whether it's in the note feature on your phone, whether it's just a piece of paper you have to grab really fast. I want you to write down the very first answer that came to mind. Other questions you can ask as you go deeper. So God, where do you want me to be in the next 6 months? Where do you want me to place my focus? And then you can ask, what would glorify you? So this is the first steps. For those who are just joining us, we're starting our creation of the Faith by Action blueprint. And I had everyone take 3 deep breaths. So if you're just joining, you can take a deep breath. And we're going to touch into our inner selves and spirit today as we do this Faith by Action blueprint. And it starts with you connecting with yourself. So the 3 questions you can ask yourself once again, or write down and see, and immediately the first answers that come to mind are the right answers for you. So God, where do you want me to be in the next 6 months? Where do you want me to place my focus? And what would glorify you? So does anyone want to share maybe something that you heard, your inner self, your intuition, your God self, that still small voice say to you about where you want to be in 6 months? What would glorify God? And what does God want you to focus on? Because this is all about listening to your heart space. This is the exact same process that I have done over and over again to make progress, not only in my life, but in my business. Someone said home. So what does that mean? Is that buying a home? Is that working from home? Is that staying home? If you can say a little more just so I understand. So if you heard home, you might want to ask, what do you mean by home? What does home mean? Or that's the first thing that came to mind. Working from home. Awesome. So definitely write that down. So working from home. And then while you're still in this heart space, I want you to ask God and yourself, how much do you want me to generate over the next 6 months? How much money do you want me to generate over the next 6 months? Okay, so part 1 was asking yourself, God or higher power, universe, inner self, where do you want me to be in the next 6 months? Where do you want me to place my focus? What would glorify you? And then we're going to take this a step further and ask God to direct our finances and say, how much money do you want me to generate in the next 6 months? So I hope you all are writing down your answers. And listen to your first mind. Don't start adding judgments and saying that's unrealistic, that's not possible. Just write it down. Just write down the desires of your heart, what you hear God, your inner self, calling you to do and show up. So what are some of the figures you ladies got and what to generate over the next 6 months? $30,000 came to my mind as I was just doing this for myself. I don't know, maybe that's for someone else, but that was the number that came to my mind. How about some of you other ladies? Over the next 6 months, what did you feel? What figure came to you? And I want you to say it. I want you to own this, because a lot of times we don't talk about money. It's a taboo topic, but how can we generate money if we're not talking about it? So if someone wants to share their figure of what came to them to generate over the next 6 months. 600K, awesome. So that's, we'll talk about the next part after this. So if anyone else wants to share, you can type into the chat. Now what I want you to do with that figure, so now you have some indication on where you're going in the next 6 months, whether it's tasks in your business, your life, like I said, whatever came to you, write that down. That's just for you, right? And now that you have a figure, I want you to divide that by 6, right? Because we have 6 months left in the year. So divide that by 6 so that you can have your monthly goal. And once again, be there with this figure, right? Try to have it sans judgment. Just feel that this figure that came to you. And as you're writing, even note what's coming up. Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling fearful? Are you like, this is a big number? Or is it like, this is too small? Why is this the number for me? That's why when 30,000 came up, I was like, oh, that's interesting. But that's the number that came to my heart, right? And so now that you have a figure, I just want you to write it down. 30,000, which is, someone said 30,000, which is 5,000 a month, and the feeling that came up for them is fearful. And so because we're recording this video, I'm not going to say people's names, but I will read some of the answers. And then someone said for the person who had the 600K, their thought is that this is a big number. That's what I thought too. I was like, ooh, that's a big number. But hey, that's your spiritual number right there. All right, so let's table this for a second. So you got in touch with what God was telling you, where to focus on, where to put your intentions for the next 6 months, even your 6 month figure, and then we're dividing that by 6 so you have an idea of what monthly are you spiritually attuned to want to generate, right? And that's what, is being called to you in some way. So now while you're feeling these higher vibration feelings, right, where we're so attuned to ourselves, we're hearing ourselves, I want you to ask yourself this. Actually, before you ask yourself this, I want you to think about this. Think about a time, so kind of wipe your mind. Actually, let's take a deep breath. So deep breath in and out. And I want you to think about a time when you've accomplished something that you thought was impossible. Maybe you're the first person to go to college in your family. Maybe you're the first person to have that good job. Maybe you won a competition that the odds were stacked against you. Maybe you thought you would never be a parent. So think about, and if you want to write into the chat, think about just an instance where you felt that you couldn't accomplish something and you did. So remember that time and that memory. And this could also be a time when you felt most proud of yourself. Perhaps it's a time when you took a risk and it paid off. So I just want you to recall that, and if you can, write it down. What was that instance? What was that memory? And does anyone want to share? I know it might be a lot to type, so we'll go to the next part while some of you might be sharing. So now that you have that memory, I want you to write down, how did you do it? So say to yourself, how did I do this? How did I do this? Right? Did you have faith? Did you ask other people for their support? Did you reach out to your mentors? Did you just keep taking action and believing that everything would work out? So just write down, just briefly, how did you do what you did? How did you accomplish the impossible, or what you thought was the impossible at a time? So someone says their memory that came was graduated high school with my class after being told by several people it would never happen. Thank you for sharing that. Right? So whatever comes to mind, but now think about, how did you do it? How were you able to graduate when everyone was telling you it would never happen for you? And you, not only did you graduate, but you graduated on time. And now that you have this memory and you have a frame or some references in how you did it, I want you to tap into the feeling. How did you feel accomplishing that task? How did you feel once you won, right? Once you accomplished that task, once you accomplished the impossible? And someone else is sharing theirs. So their memory was getting on a plane and going to Atlanta after being told it was a waste of time and money. So when you went to Atlanta, and I know this person, so I'm not sure if this is for the event that we were just at, but where were you going to Atlanta? What type of event or experience were you going that people told you was a waste of time and money? So Launch Your Business, which is Launch Your Business is a business development event that's coordinated by Happy Black Women, and I'm the program director there. So, and it's really a large investment that women make into themselves in their entrepreneurship journey. So here you are investing in yourself, and people are telling you it was a waste of time and money. But now I want you to tap into the feelings on the other side of it, right? So you accomplished the impossible. How did it feel? Did you feel pride? Did you feel a lightness? Did you feel uncomfortable? Did you feel happiness? Did you feel delight? So write down those feelings, and I want you to bask in it for a minute and just remember how you felt when you accomplished the impossible and what you felt led to do at another time in your life. And if some of you ladies want to write down, what are some of the feelings that came up on the other side of accomplishing the impossible? You know, I'm 1 year in to, just to share mine, being this year in full-time business, right? Having paid all my bills on time, having been, going across the country traveling, and being able to go pick up my son in the middle of the day and take him for ice cream if I want to. I was reflecting on that this morning, right? And that's why I wanted you to tap into these happy feelings. Here was something that I didn't think it was impossible, but I just thought it was a reach, thinking like I was going to work for myself full time. Like I said, I had no idea how that was going to happen. And then this opportunity came. And then I launched my business. And now we have 3,000 women that I have touched through the Black Women Rise movement. We went from 0 to 3,000 in a year. And I'm in awe. I'm in total awe of that. Right? And of course I feel pride and I feel happiness, but there was lots of tears and laughs along the way. But I'm really in this awe, and it's an amazing thing. And I kind of feel like if I can do that, I can continue to do anything along this walk as long as I keep having my faith. So that's how I feel. So someone said, it was uncomfortable at first, but I was proud of myself. It was an amazing feeling of accomplishment. Okay, so now that we're in our higher vibration, right? Because happiness, love, delight, pride, these are all higher vibration feelings. And actually this helps us to manifest better. when we're in these states. So anytime when, you know, you might be thinking about, say, that 600K goal in 6 months, or that 30,000, you know, K go, or 30K go in 6 months, and you're like, oh my God, how I'm gonna do this, and fear's coming up, start to remember who you are. You have accomplished the impossible before. You have all the skills and strengths and the inherent genius to do it again, because it's already within you. So anytime you're feeling down, I want you to remember who you are. And that's why I had you write it down, so you can go back and reference it and remember how you accomplished the impossible and how you felt after that, and bask in those feelings. Because we have to stay at higher vibrations if we truly want to manifest and attract what we're desiring, and even what God is calling us to do in our life. So now that we're in our feelings of higher vibrations, I want you to ask yourself this. What is one step I can take to get me closer to my income goal? So ask yourself, or your higher self, right? We're tapping back in. What is one step I can take to get me close to my income goal? And just write down what you hear is your very next best step. Right? So write those first thoughts that come to mind. Perhaps it's calling somebody to explore working with you. Maybe it's finishing your speaker packet and contacting a conference. Perhaps it's creating or outlining your free offer to showcase your expertise. It might be following up with a contact for lunch. It could be hiring a coach to teach you a skill or a strategy to get you closer to this income goal, right? So write down, and ask yourself, and then write down the answer. What is the next step, or the one step I can take to get me close to my income goal? So what steps are coming up for you ladies? What do you hear is your next step? It's funny because for me, I heard myself say, put yourself out there. I don't know what that means yet, but mine was put yourself out there, which I feel like I've been doing that, but maybe I need to do more of it. So put yourself out there. What came to mind for you as the one step that you can take to get you closer to your income goal? I see y'all there. Let's write the vision and make it plain. What's coming to you? Someone said an additional stream of income from marketing as their next step. Okay. So an additional stream of income from marketing. Is that making something? Can you, I don't know if you can explain. I know we're in the chat. You probably can't type everything. I should probably start doing these on Blab so we can have a video. But if you can clarify that, or even if you don't have clarity yet, you might want to ask yourself, well, what does this mean? An additional stream of income. Because so that might be creating something. Is it selling something for marketing? So what is your next best step to get you closer to your income goal? Okay. And I'll give you all some time to type into the chat. And now the next step I want you to take in this Faith by Action blueprint and creating it is that I want you to set a date to accomplish your next best step. Well, to work on it, not to accomplish it, because that's, like I said, it's a 6-month goal, or at least this next best step. But take some time, open your calendar, wherever you're viewing, if there's, if you have to open it on your phone or your computer, open your calendar, and I want you to put in dedicated time to work on this step. Right? So how much time would it take you to work on your next best step? And I want you to do something with that time. I want you to add 50% to it. right? So the person who had the additional stream of income come to mind said, not sure yet. I'm the only supporter of my household currently. More income of some sort would be needed. Okay, so for you, because what came to mind for your best next step was an additional stream of income from marketing. So I guess it's income to help you market. That's what I think I'm hearing you say. You still want to set a specific date on your calendar and really let this try to be in the next week. Right? Because you want to gain momentum. You want to start taking action. Sorry, my throat. I'm going to take a sip of water. And maybe for you, it's brainstorming. What can I create, or what can I do that would be an additional stream of income for me? Right? So maybe now is not the time to get the clarification. Maybe it's setting aside an hour. Right? And if you think it's going to take an hour, like I said, add 50% to that. So set aside an hour and a half. And say, I'm going to sit here and do the same process that we just went through, right? Do your deep breaths. Ask God and your higher self, what additional stream of income do I need to make or start generating so that I can pay for marketing for my, it sounds like maybe for your business. Right? So just set aside the time, this sacred time. This is sacred time. Because this whole process is a sacred process. You're tapping into yourself. Sorry, my iPad is on. And set aside time so that you can implement this best next step. And I want you to add 50% more time. So if it's an hour, you'll be adding 30 minutes. If it's 2 hours, add an additional hour, because things take longer than we plan. So I want you to add more time. And pin this into your calendar right now. Pin this into your calendar right now. Right? And once again, honor this time, because it has been, you have been divinely led to this point and inspired to do this activity. So if someone wants to meet you for lunch that day, if auntie wants to call you on the phone, turn off your phone, put it on do not disturb, tell people you have a commitment at that time, right? Honor this time to yourself so that you can take the next best step for you in accomplishing your goal, in this case, your profit goal for the rest of 2016. So what are some of the dates that you all selected? I'm calling you to the floor. What are some of the dates you selected to work on your best next step? I want to know the date and the time. And I'll be patient and I'll wait so you can look at your calendar. The date and the time when you're going to set aside to work on this best next step that came to your mind. And if somebody else wants to write their best next step, I can give you some clarification or maybe ways that you can utilize the time. So like I said, for the person with the additional stream of income from marketing, you might be tapping into yourself so that you can figure out, well, what is that? Let me get more clarification on it. Or what do I need to do to start generating an additional stream of income? Right? So this might be more thought time that you're putting into this. So someone wrote their date as June 14th from 2 to 4 p.m. Awesome. Way to take action. And don't let anybody, nothing get in the way of that time. So someone else wrote June 18th from 12 to 1. Great. Awesome. And there's ladies jumping in and out, so I think there's like 2 of you actively on right now. And so if you're watching this later, get your calendar out and write down a commitment. And you can come back to this video and write in the comment section, okay? Because I know we had some technical issues, so a couple of ladies jumped off, or maybe might still be having problems with the video. And so the last part in this process, or the second to last part is, I'm looking at my notes, is that I want you to set up a planning time so that you can continue to do this for each step. So the reason why this is a Faith by Action blueprint is that you're tapping into, once again, your divine self, your higher self, to lead you each step of the way. And so you just did, you can say, a part 1 of it, right? You got clarity on where you want to focus or what your goals should be for the next 6 months. You got clarity on your income goal. You remembered who you are, right? That you are the type of person that can accomplish the impossible or something that just seems totally out of reach. And then you asked, once again, your higher self, well, what's the first step, right? We don't need to see the whole staircase to be successful. We just need to see the next step. And then the step after that will reveal itself. And then the step after that will reveal itself. And that's the faith walk. It's having faith that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. And then I'm trusting that the next step I need to take will come. And for you to ask that, I want you to plan what I call, or what actually one of my mentors call, and I've taken it on, a CEO date. So bring out your calendar again, and I want you to set aside the half an hour to do this process that you just did in the video so that you can know what your next step is after that. Right? Because right now you have set aside time for this first step you're going to take to move towards that income goal that you have for 2016. And now I want you to set up the time so that you can do your 3 deep breaths and ask God again, what is my next best step so that I can achieve this goal that I have for the rest of 2016 to move forward with it. So once again in the chat, and this could be just 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be long, right? You can even call this your business meeting with God. Right? You're having your meeting with God or your CEO date so that you can get clear again on what's the next step for me. So once again in the chat, I want you to type in, when are you going to have that 30 minutes for yourself? And this should come after the time you set aside for your best next step, the first step you're going to take. Because now you need to know, well, what's the second step after this? Right? And it still might be related to the project that you have from your first step. But once again, you're getting clarity on, where do I go now that I've accomplished, or I set aside time and I worked on this first step that came to me today while I was on the call with Cornisha. So when are you setting aside time again to touch base with yourself about the second next best step? You can call it that way. And so while you all are typing in and looking at your calendars, I've actually set aside, I'm doing like a 30-day, you can say business meeting with God challenge, because I realized something with me that over the last year I participated in a high-level mastermind, which was a really great experience. And I'm also doing private coaching with someone. And I realized that what led to my success was following my intuition and asking God these very same questions that I'm asking you, right? That's how I even started on this walk and this dream to be a full-time entrepreneur. But then, as I started to get coaching, I started to lean on the mentor. And I stopped checking in with myself. You know, I was in the Facebook groups saying, like, what should I do next? Tell me what to do, tell me what to do, tell me what to do. And I stopped checking in with myself. So I stopped doing the exact same process that led to my success, you can say, initially. Each time that I did a faith walk, and stuff manifested. And I did well in my program, so I'm not saying that. But it was just the idea that I realized I'm leaning so much, and God brings us wise counsel, right? So I'm not saying that listening to someone else means is a bad thing. But it needs to be balanced, right? You need to, if you're seeking advice from coaching or mentorship, you also need to have the time to tap into yourself. Because not everybody's advice might be the best advice for you at the time. So what I've been doing is at 9:30 every morning, and I started last week, I have my prayer meeting with God. And so I go through a regular prayer structure, and I ask the questions that I ask you, and I basically ask it for the day. Like, God, what do you want me to focus on today? And I still ask about the larger business goals. Right? So if you want to do a daily challenge of 30 days, I suggest you do it, because it will open up. So much has just opened up in the last week and a half. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. But you can actually plan a CEO date just once a week if you want to, right? If you want to start out once a week, I'm going to have my CEO date or my business meeting with my higher self and God. And I'm going to ask these questions, right? What is my next best step? Right? You can do it in the form of a prayer or calling, whatever you need to do. So someone wrote that on June 20th from 7 to 7:30 is when they're going to have their next meeting. Great. Because the Faith by Action blueprint, unlike other, say, goal setting blueprints, is not done, right? Just because we sat here and did it today doesn't mean, okay, you're done, that's it. It is an ongoing process because you have to keep checking in with yourself, your intuition, with that still small voice and what it's telling you to do and guiding you, right? Sometimes the voice might tell you, well, go ask this question to your mentor. Go get some guidance on this. Go get some coaching, right? Go do a training. Go learn. Like I said at the beginning of 2015, when I was sitting there and was like, okay, well, how do I have a business where I'm coaching Black women? It said, go get certified. Go do a coaching program. Mind you, I was doing a master's in social work. They taught us how to counsel, but I was feeling called and led to learn specifically how to coach, which coaching and counseling are two different, they of course overlap, but there are two different approaches and skill sets, right? So dedicate this time, and you can have it as a reoccurring event. So maybe every, what is the 20th? That's like I don't know what date that is. The 20th is a Monday, right? So you might say every Monday at 7 to 7:30, this is what I'm going to sit down and do so that I always am clear on my next best step. And so someone else wrote that on June 17th from 5 to 5:30. Excellent. Right? So right now I'm not asking you to commit to this being reoccurring, but at least right now you have your first step. You have a date when you're going to work on your first step. And then you have now another date when you're going to check in with yourself. You can even play this video and go through it again so that you can check in with yourself and ask, God, what is my next best step now that I've taken the first step? What's going to get me closer to accomplishing or generating my income goal? Right? And once again, you're honoring this time that is sacred. And so I'm going to just quickly, just for the purposes of the video and the recording, kind of tell you what to do, right? So during the CEO meeting, you want to recall your vision that came to you while we were on this call. I want you to meditate on your income goal. Once again, tap into and remember who you are and how you in the past have accomplished the impossible, and tap into those feelings. Then check in again. So sometimes you might need to take a deep breath after that and ask yourself, what is my next best step? And then once again, you want to plan time to work on that next best step and add 50%, because sometimes things take longer than we planned or to get going. And then once again, you plan your next planning date, so your next CEO date. So those are the 6 steps. Recall your vision, meditate on your income goal, remember who you are so you can bask in this higher vibration and create from there. Ask, what is your best next step? Plan the time to work on it, adding 50% more time so that you definitely can get it done. And then plan your CEO date. And like I said, you can have this as a reoccurring thing, so it happens no matter what, or you can do it each step, each time. So you're like, okay, I did this, let me plan the next one. And so as you do these things, and this kind of came up in the chat, there are going to be feelings of discomfort, fear, doubt, uncertainty that come up for you, right? And your thoughts, right? So when these feelings come up, I want you to think about, what am I thinking? Some thoughts that might come up is like, is this realistic? Am I good enough? Who's going to listen to me when I start marketing, right? Whatever the thoughts that are coming up that you feel are generating this fear. Can I trust God, right? And to counteract that, I want you to create a mantra to keep you motivated. That's going to remind you to keep the faith. Right? So here are some that I suggest, but you can make your own, and you take this time now to think about, okay, when I am not feeling certain about this faith walk, what can I say to myself to remind myself about it, right? So one suggestion might be, my desires are worth achieving. So one mantra you might want to take on is, my desires are worth achieving. Here's one I've been leaning on a lot in the last week and a half is, My business is growing at exactly the right pace. The pace in which I have the capacity to grow it. So that one is, my business is growing at exactly the right pace. The pace which I have the capacity to grow it. So I've been leaning on that one. Another mantra that might be helpful for you is that I take action every day. Right? And it could be I take action towards my dreams, or I take action towards my goals, right? Whatever it is. So for you who are here on the chat, what is the mantra that you think you can take on that can remind you just to keep on this faith walk? And if you like some of the ones I said, definitely use them, right? So the ones that I said, I'm going to repeat them. My desires are worth achieving. You might even want to say, I am worthy, right? Because sometimes our own self-worth stuff comes up when we start doing our faith walk. The one that I've been leaning on is that my business is growing at exactly the right pace. The pace which I can, the pace which I have the capacity to grow it. Right, so that one is, my business is growing at exactly the right pace. The pace which I have the capacity to grow it. And the last mantra I just suggested is, I take action every day. So are any of these resonating with you, or is there one coming to mind that you can say, okay, when I'm feeling doubt, or even when you're not feeling doubt, you can just say it every day just because, to keep you motivated. You know, what is something that you can say that can just remind you, this is a faith walk. I'm walking this. I'm going to stay in action. I'm going to keep traction and momentum going. So I'll wait for you all to think and write down something. So write down something that you feel like you can hold on to. Someone said, I am enough to get the job done. That's a good one. There's always good ones. I don't think there's anything as a bad mantra, but I like that one. I am enough to get the job done. That's right. You are enough. You are more than enough. And I'm just looking here on the computer because sometimes the chat comes up faster there than on the live on my phone. Okay, so just in case other folks are typing, I see some folks are jumping in. So we're almost wrapping up. We're doing mantras to support our Faith by Action Blueprint. So for those who are just jumping on, I definitely encourage you to watch this from the beginning so that you can walk through the steps in creating your Faith by Action Blueprint. Now, this is what I want you all to know that's going to happen. Once we get clarity, once we get a vision, you will be able to recognize it, right? And that's one reason I say that having a vision is so important to your success, right? So if I didn't have that vision that I wanted to work for myself full time, when I received the phone call from this person with the opportunity to do a contracting position for them that gave me the baseline income for me to do that, I probably wouldn't have accepted it, because if I wasn't having this clear vision that I was holding on to. At this time, it was about for 4 months. I was very clear in my mind that I wanted to work for myself full-time after grad school, so much so that I didn't even submit resumes to any social work jobs. And so you're supposed to do that ahead of time. I went to the job fair and I was like, I'm not feeling this. I was so committed to working for myself. And then I didn't solicit. I received a phone call with an opportunity. And I knew then that it was divinely led. But if I hadn't had the vision, if I hadn't been clear, I'm pretty sure I would not have recognized that as a viable opportunity. Because I probably would have thought, oh, well, that's not a full-time income. You know, if I was looking for a full-time job, 9 to 5, I would have been like, oh, no, I can't do that because this person's asking me to work, 10 to 15 hours a week. How would I do that with a 40-hour job? It would not have been an opportunity. But because I was clear I wanted to work for myself, I was like, that is perfect. This is the opportunity that's going to give me a baseline, and then I can work my Black woman business on top of that. Also, this would give me the opportunity to see someone else who's forming a location independent business. It's the very same thing I want to do. And so I can also learn through experience working with this person. So that's going to happen for you now that you have this clarity. There are going to be opportunities. There's going to be things that start coming to you. And because you are clear, you're going to say, that's it. I need to maybe do that speaking engagement because I'm going to be in front of 100 of my ideal clients, right? Or I am going to take that contract because, you know, my goal is to make $5,000 a month for the person who had the 30K goal, right? And this contracting opportunity is going to at least give me half of that, right? But once again, when you're not clear, you don't see these opportunities in front of you. But now you can see them, you can call them. They'll just, I'm telling you, this is what happens. I just did a whole ideal life narrative with a client where she actually did all her desires. She got clarity on every single area of her life. And this is no lie, this is not an exaggeration. The next day, an opportunity came that would allow her to manifest what she just got clarity on. And she told me, she said, Quanisha, if we had not did that session, I would not have even recognized that that's what I wanted. I would have dismissed the opportunity. So this stuff is powerful, right? What is it, Habakkuk 2 or something like that when it says, write the vision, make it plain. I'm not a biblical scholar. I have friends who are in seminary, but I know that verse. Write the vision, make it plain, right? So you can even say it's a spiritual principle that you have to get clear on your vision, make it plain, and that's when you can start seeing and manifesting in it, right? And recognizing when these opportunities come. So someone else wrote that their mantra is, I am capable and worthy of this walk. Love it. So the two that we have in the chat so far, and I hope more of you who are watching this video later as you go through the whole steps, please put your mantras because your mantra might resonate with somebody else. So the two that we have here is, I am enough to get the job done. And the other one is, I am capable and worthy of this walk. I love these because it's tapping into your worth. So sisters, I want you to really own this. You have everything you need right now to accomplish what God is calling you to do. You have everything you need right now to accomplish what God is calling you to do. There is nothing wrong with you. You're not bad. You're not less than. You are more than enough. There is nothing wrong with you. You have everything you need right now to accomplish what God is calling you to do. All that is required of you is to keep tapping in and be in conversation with your higher self, your spiritual self, and then take action on what you hear, the instructions that you are getting. So that's the key. We have to listen, right? Don't dismiss the thoughts that are coming, those first thoughts, those intuitions, those inklings, those desires. Don't dismiss them. Honor them. They are just for you. Listen, right? Hear them, and then follow it. Trust in it, right? Take the action. So once again, the Profit Planning 2016, Creating Your Faith by Action Blueprint, this is the process. This is the process that has worked for me and that has worked for my clients and manifesting the things that we want in our life. The very first person I did this with was the nonprofit executive. She was actually my best friend. And she got clarity that she did not want to be an executive director of an organization. She wanted to go to seminary at an Ivy League institution. And this was in January of 2015. By April of 2015, after we did all these exercises, she not only got accepted, but she got a full scholarship to Princeton Seminary. And she tells me, she was like, Quanisha, if I never worked with you, if I hadn't did this work, and it's not about me, I'm just a conduit, right? I'm a conductor, I'm a facilitator of this. If I hadn't did this work, I would not have gotten clarity that this was what I really wanted, true to my heart, and I wouldn't have taken the steps to do it. And she just completed her first year. And so many opportunities have opened up for her just by getting clarity and taking action on what she was feeling called to do. And you can say that's one of the highest callings, right? To go to seminary. So trust in this process. It's not my process, right? Because this is all you being led by your divine self. I'm just facilitating this for you. I'm now have given you a blueprint and steps that you can take on your own and do it on a regular basis for yourself so that you can keep creating your faith by action blueprint. So once again, like I said, I facilitated this process for many women, and I do this even as part of my Black Women CEO coaching. So I do it with entrepreneurs. So if you would like the opportunity to explore and to do more of this and have it facilitated for you, if you feel like you need to get more clarity, as well as learn the actual skills, right, for how to do this within a business, and even the important steps you need to take to create a revenue generating business, I invite you to schedule a talk with me. Schedule a 30-minute Confident CEO strategy session. The link is in the title of this video, and that will take you directly to the information page, and then you click at the bottom for the application. And I would definitely read your application to see at least if we're an appropriate match to have a conversation, so that we can explore if and how we can work together. So I'm really looking forward to talking to each one of you who are watching, because this will help you get more clarity, right? This will also help you figure out what might be holding you back. Like I said, there's going to be emotions that come up as you go through this, and you need to have the skills for how to deal with these emotions. And then accountability is an important step for many of us, right? You may have done a similar process. You may have been clear on what you're supposed to be focusing on in your life, but you're not doing it. Maybe you're not showing up for yourself on a regular basis, right? So one, I hope you commit to the dates that you wrote down here. But if you need that regular accountability, we can talk about how I can support you with that. Right? With my client who went to seminary, we talked every 2 weeks for 6 months to get her there, to keep her on track. She wanted to backtrack a lot. And I was like, did you fill out the financial aid forms? No. All right, fill out the financial aid forms. By the deadline, you missed the deadline, called them. She got a full ride to seminary school. But I had to press her for it, because we will get in our own way. We will self-sabotage. And also, as Black women, the studies show we don't necessarily honor ourselves as much as we honor our promises and commitments to other people. So we also have not only the regular internal psychology stuff that comes up for everybody, we have our own socialization that can sometimes get in our way of really honoring our calling and fulfilling our purposes once we get clarity on what we feel we're called to do. So if you feel like you need support or you want to explore how we can work together, once again, click on the link in the title of the video, and I'll post it here in the chat, so that, and it's a free call, it's complimentary, and there's no obligation, that we can have a talk. And either way, you come away from the discussion with clarity. Like I said, clarity on your best next step, what might be holding you back, and actually what you might be needing to do to move forward in your life. So thank you all for joining the Chat and Chew. Thank you for your grace and flexibility with some of our technical difficulties. And I really appreciate you all coming on to do your profit planning for 2016, creating your Faith by Action blueprint. Someone said, thank you. Have a blessed day. You too. Thank you, everyone. And feel free to post questions. If you want to post in the chat or just in the group, I can definitely answer questions later. And share the video with a friend. So have them join the Black Woman CEO group and say, hey, girl, you need to do this Faith by Action blueprint that I did today. Because I'm telling you, it works. I would not be where I am today. Over the last year, through contracting and my business, I've generated close to $50,000 in revenue. I have made more on my own than I've made full-time working in nonprofit organizations. Someone said, thank you, this was awesome. Ashe, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. So I am living proof that this works. I have clients that have testimonies of their own that this works. And the reason why it's worked is because, like I said, it has nothing to do with me. It's you listening to your higher self, your higher power, that God self inside, that is always working for our best interest. And all it takes is us tapping in and listening. So I encourage you to do that on a regular basis and to make this a regular activity for yourself. Like I said, I'm committing over the 30 days. And if you want to commit with me, you know, we can talk and chat in the group and catch up and see how things are going. And that's what actually led me to do this. I felt called to do, I said, people need to do this. And, you know, I need to do it not just in my coaching. I felt like I needed to do this for the larger community. I felt called to do this when I was doing my own prayer meeting with God. So let's all thank the Lord for those who benefit from this, because I was led to do it and I honored that I listened to the instructions. So thank you all. I'm glad that you found that this was awesome, and have a blessed one. Bye. This is Quanisha Smith, the founder and chief activator of the Black Women Rise movement and your Black Woman CEO coach, signing off. And I look forward to talking to you. So click the link so that we can set up your Confident CEO strategy session. Bye. Have a good rest of the day.